In this video, I'm going to show you how I replace a set of strings on a bass guitar. Now, there are a couple of reasons why we even need to replace strings in the first place. One is to make the strings sound more fresh and bright, because they do get dull after a little while. The strings on this bass have actually been on the bass as long as I've owned it, which is now over 3 years, and I've freshened them up occasionally through the snapback technique. There's another video on that. But now I'm actually going to replace the strings. And the reason for that is because they're starting to wobble a bit, especially the low two strings, and starting to sound a little bit out of tune. And I'm going into the studio quite soon, and I need to have a certain level of brightness in the sound, because when you're recording anything, the thing is you can always add bass, or you actually add bass by subtracting brightness, but you can't actually add brightness. So if I go into the studio with a set of strings that are sounding quite dull, there's not many ways, or there's actually no way where you can really enhance that. Okay, so that's actually the second reason why I'm replacing the strings on this bass now, to enable the engineer in the studio to play with the sound a little bit more. He can always subtract brightness, no problem, but he can't add brightness. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to tell you after that is to replace the strings one by one. Don't sort of take the entire set off and then put the entire set on. If you replace them one by one, you can actually tune the new string to the old string, and also the neck tension, or the bow of the neck, remains quite consistent, so it's not going to change a whole lot when you're just changing a string at a time. And when you're doing that, it doesn't really matter in which order you change the string. So I'm just going to start in this case with the G string, and I'll unravel the G. Let's just do that. Here we go. I'm not going through any amplifier now. This is purely acoustic. So you can see that doesn't take too long. And then all I do is go to the peg here. Need to maybe unravel a little bit more. Then I can, there you go, pull it out of the peg. Now what's interesting about the way the strings are wound on pegs is that you've got to make sure, and I'll show you this again in a couple of minutes, that you've got at least 2.5 windings around the pegs, and that the string winds downwards to create enough tension across the top of the nut. If you have less than 2 windings around the peg, the string tension, when it's tuned up, will almost certainly pull the string out of the slot and off the peg. So 2.5 windings, that's pretty important. Okay, now I've just about got this the G string out. There's just one more thing. I have to take it through. In this case, you see through the back of the body, I've got a string through design on this bridge. On a lot of bridges, you take them off the end of the tailpiece, so you just take them out of the hole there. Sometimes you've got a slot, which is very cool indeed, and you just take it out of the slot. But in this case, I'll just have to take it through the back, which is easy enough. So I'll just push it through, there you go, and pull the string out. Just make sure it doesn't sort of clamp up too much here. See, that's just got that little kink in there, so I'll just take it out cautiously now at the end. And another thing is, I actually keep my old strings, I keep them in my bass bag, because in case I need to replace a string on a gig, it's generally better to replace a broken string with an older string, because then you don't have too much sound difference. Imagine you've been playing a set of strings for several months, and you break one and you need to replace it on a gig especially, or just generally, and you put a new string on there, you're going to get quite a contrast in sound. So that's why I keep my old strings. I just put them back in the packet, in the packet out of which I take the new strings, put them in my bag, take them to the gig with me. Okay, so now let's have a look at the new strings. I've got a set here of, I've never opened these. These are the strings that are on the bass, and I actually bought the same set. So this is the Ernie Ball Super Slinky Bass 45 to 100, 45, 65, 80, 100. And we're going to replace the strings with exactly the same set that the bass came with. I'm happy with that. And generally I've also found that over many, many years of experience, you know, people ask me what strings to use to do, and I've tried so many different types. Generally, you can't go wrong using the manufacturer's set. That's my experience. So if I've got a Music Man bass, I might get Music Man strings. If I've got a Fender bass, I'll put Fender strings on there. Not always, but a lot of the time that's what I do. So that's pretty good. Now this video is only about replacing the strings. I'm not going to show you about intonation setup, about tuning or anything like that. So it's just replacing the strings. So obviously this set here is sealed, which is great, so it doesn't corrode. So I'll just have to cut off the top and see what's in the pack. Okay, first time I've seen these. So I'm looking now for the G, which is the 45. Okay, that can go on the floor for now. All right, so what I need to do, almost always, you need to snip some of the end of the string so there's not too many windings around the peg. But I don't know how much I need to snip off these strings because I haven't used them before. So what I'll do is I'll just slot the string through the back of the bridge, and then I'll sort of put it up. I'll just show you that. Simple enough. Just pull the string through. Always sort of maintaining a bit of tension, you know, so it doesn't get too, so it doesn't go back out again. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just put the body of the bass on the ground. This is how I often do it, and I just hold the instrument against my knee, and then I've got room to move. See, I've got both hands I can work within. Now I'm going to put this. This is really important. Putting the string in the hole in the tuning peg. It's really, really important because you don't want them sticking out. If they stick out, you can just really poke your fingers very badly and hurt yourself. Okay, so with bass strings in particular, I do the same with guitar strings. Poke them into the hole so there's nothing sticking out, so it's not dangerous. Imagine you're playing on stage and you whack a fellow musician or something like that. That will be very painful. So, you know, keep it safe. Now, I'm going to just snip a bit off this. I think I'll just take off maybe 5-6 centimeters. I don't want to go too far to begin with, and then I'll actually put it in the hole and wrap it around the peg or wind it around the peg. And see if that works. Okay, so what I do, just put that in the hole there and wrap it. Now with this tuner being on the other side of the headstock, I've got to make sure I wrap the string the correct way, right? So in this case it should always be coming from the inside, so I'll just go like that and go down, and what I'm doing now is I'm just pushing the string down a bit. I'll just get a little screwdriver for that. So I'll make sure that the windings go under each other. So I'm just pushing a winding which has come lower. Sometimes it takes a bit of fiddling. I think I've got it now. No, still don't have it. So you can see this can be a little bit fiddly sometimes. So you can see I put it in the hole, then brought it outwards, and then I'm trying to go downwards. I'm nearly there. Okay, now I'll give the string some tension, pull on it. Okay, so always make sure there's enough tension, otherwise everything will just jump out. Now I'm going to tune it up, and we'll see. Now with this one, it looks like I've just cut off the right amount. You don't want too much. You don't want the string coming all the way up to the top of the peg. That can create a string being too flat, and it could jump out of the nut. So again, it needs to come down a little bit. So I'm just tuning it up. I've easily got 2.5 windings here now. I might have 3, which is great. Just need to make sure, once again, that they go under each other. Little screwdrivers are always very helpful for this. Keep on tuning it up. I'll just bring it up to tension a little bit, and then I can push the string up a bit. It's actually a little bit more difficult on the thinner strings. As you get to the thicker strings, you'll find that they're easier to maneuver about. Okay, now I've got it. So I've pushed a couple of the string windings just up a little bit. And now I'm just going to wind this until it gets a bit of tension. Feels not too bad. Put the screwdriver down. Now, make sure that the windings are still correct, so it's a nice, not overlapping winding, so it's a nice sort of circular thing going on there. Just wound the wrong way there for a second. Just not used to the string tuning mechanisms on the other side. Haven't done that on this bass before. So now the next thing I need to check is to just check if the string is in fact in the slot here in the saddle, if it's properly in the back. It sort of looks okay. Now I can give it some tension like this. I'm just pulling it up, and now just go cross-legged there a bit, lift the bass up so I can see it. Now I can, with a bit of pulling the string up, I can actually now wind it a bit tighter. Okay, now that's got a reasonable tightness. It's not going to sort of go anywhere, and I can just check again. It's in the saddle slot. It looks okay there. Looks okay there. It looks okay here up on the nut end or the headstock end. So it all looks quite good. So now I can actually start tuning it up a little bit. Now, if you like, you can use the 5th fret as a guide. So 5th fret D string would be a G. Again, this is just acoustic, but I hope you can hear that. Okay, so it's almost in tune now. So what I can do now, just a lot of people do this, and I do it too, is I just pull the string up cautiously and sort of let it snap back like that. Maybe again, it just gets the tension sort of better, quicker. Okay, so that's pretty much it to begin with, and with the other strings you just do the same. Now I'm going to continue. Let's do the D string now. So same procedure as before. Unwind that. This is good because then you can see a repeat of the whole process. Might put the bass back on the floor now, rest it against my knee, so I've got both hands available. Loosen the key sufficiently so I can just pop that out so the string is out. Put the bass up again, just putting it on my lap, and then I can just poke the string through the back, pull it through, and now this time I'm going to make sure I sort of unwind this wound bit before I actually pull it through the nut. Sorry, before I pull it through the slot in the bridge. The bridge, this is, okay, and pull it out, and that's it. String is off, goes to the ground for now. Let's have a look at the next one out of the pack. So the D, 65 gauge, looks right to me. Okay, all looks good. You know, just do a quick visual check, make sure it looks okay. Through the slot at the back of the bridge, coming up there. Okay, that's good. Put the bass back on the floor. Now with this one, I don't think I need to cut much off at all. I'm going to cut just like, I'm guessing now, I'm going to cut just 2 centimeters off. Because obviously the D string is actually further away, so you would cut less. The G string being closer, you know, to the nut, you need to cut more off. You've got to take string dimensions into consideration and also the string lengths. Now, most of the times all strings are made the same length. There are exceptions, but most of the time they are. So I'm going to just take off an inch or so, maybe 2.5 centimeters. That should be enough. Okay, just cut that off with the pliers. On the ground it goes. I won't show you the cleanup process after this. Okay, now here too, put the string into the slot. Make sure you then, into the hole, which is in the slot. Just going to change something a little bit here with the recording. Okay. Okay, so into the hole and bring it around to the slot and to the groove. Make sure it's going on the correct side, in this case inwards. So you can see the strings are all on the inward side. So inward there on the G, and of course the D string is now going to be on the inward side as well. So that's in there. Give it a bit of tension, start. I could wrap it around once. Yep, that works. Saves me a lot of turning. And now I think I just need to turn the key. And while I'm doing that, I can make sure that hopefully the string again goes downwards. So all of the string coils are, gradually below each other. Looks sort of okay. I might have to get the screwdriver again to lift it up a little bit. Little screwdrivers are always handy for bass stuff. Yes, that helps a lot. Thinking out loud now. Keep on winding until you get enough tension around there. It looks pretty good. Looks like I've got at least my 2.5 windings again. Now with the D string, you see there's a string clamp or a string tree there, so just once it gets enough tension, put it underneath the clamp. Okay, that's okay to have a look at. Now I'm going to go to the back again. Always go back to the bridge side. Make sure it's in the saddle, it's in your slots properly, in case you have it through the back of the tailpiece, or in this case through the entire body. Okay, so I can now tune that up slowly. So I go boom, 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 boom. So I use my guide, fourths, tuning in fourths as a rough guide, just to get it roughly in tune, approximately in tune, and the 5th fret of the lower pitched adjacent string as well. Now I've got it approximately in tune. I just check that to make sure it all looks good. Looks pretty good. Looks like it. That's the way the others have come from the factory, so they do a good job at Music Man with things like that. So it all looks okay. So now I'm just going to, see it's already slacked off a bit, just bring it up a bit, and now I do the pull release thing, the snap back again, just a few tugs of it, snap it back, and again. Just do the G string while I'm at it, because they gradually will drop a bit. Another thing, I guess, which is important to mention, I've had the experience of putting on an entire set just before a gig. I wouldn't do that again, because the tuning does drop. If you need a set of new strings before a gig, do it at least a day before, so the strings have had some time to pull themselves into place. You need to tune up a little bit. They're pretty good nowadays, but I wouldn't do it just before a gig. Okay, D string is done, A string now. Easy enough. The third time you're seeing this process now. As I said, with the thicker strings, it tends to get a little bit easier. Bass on the floor. Keep on unwinding the peg. Okay, that comes out pretty easily. And now, just going through the bridge. That familiar sound. Once again, maybe just holding this giving this wiggly bit a bit of tension so it goes through the bridge a bit easier. And out it is. Now you can, of course, I'm just looking at this, you can, of course, clean the fingerboard as you change strings. That's not a bad thing to do. So you can just get a cloth and just, wipe that down between two strings, and then you do the edges, So that's certainly a thing that I recommend doing. My fingerboard's usually pretty much okay because I do give it some wipes, quite regularly, so I don't really need to give it a good clean. But if your fingerboard looks a bit grotty, it's got some stuff in there, some gunk, then certainly give it a good wipe with just a clean, dry, lint-free cloth. Okay, here we go to the A string now. Which is this one. Looks good. Through the tailpiece. Which one is that? Oh, here. Okay, once again, back of the bass can go on the floor. Now this one here, you'll see, there's more length. Well, it's the same length as the D string was and the G string, but I need to cut off a little bit more because otherwise it would really be clogging up the peg. So I'm going to cut off, still not too much here, because again, I don't know, it's a thicker string. It doesn't need too many windings, but I still need my 2.5. So I'm going to cut off, wow, maybe this much now. The last one was about 2.5 centimeters. I'm going to cut off maybe 4 again. I think on the G string I did 6 or so, I'm not sure. Okay, maybe I'll be safe, I'll go a little bit less. I'll go now, that's about 2 inches, 5 centimeters. Snip that off. Just make sure, have a look. Yeah, okay. I'll take the risk. If you don't want to take the risk, I recommend you, you wind the strings around the peg first, and then you see, oh, that's how much I have to take off, So there's nothing wrong with doing that. I've done it many times. So once again, into the hole, around the side of the slot. See if I can do a hand wind. Yes, I can do one hand wind, and then comes the turning of the, I think people call these the machine heads often. This is, I call them the keys. So turning the key, the tuning mechanism. Looks like it's going to be fine. Turn, turn, turn. Yeah, I've got my 2.5 windings now. I just need to make sure that the bit of the string coming right at the top of the peg is actually down far enough so it doesn't jump out the top. Always got to check stuff, have a good look and check it. So I might press that down a little bit with a screwdriver. It's probably okay. It's got that helped, yep. It's got enough tension. Once again, I'll push the bottom winding up a bit so there's space below it to continue winding downwards. Yep, see how I'm continually looking up and down? I just make sure it looks okay at the bridge end as well. Now I can see here it's a little bit tight. Let's see if I can show you that. Hard to show you. It's a little bit tight down at the bottom there of the peg, so I'm going to have to push the string up a tiny bit more. I can probably let go now. I'll put it underneath the string retainer here. That's another word for it. The string clamp. And I'm just going to push it up a little bit. You've got to be cautious with the screwdriver that you don't go damaging the string. Come on. Sometimes they'll just jump into place, but I don't really want to. Now it's good. So what I did now is I just loosened it a bit. Then the string automatically came up, and now I can go underneath again. Now I can push it a bit. So sometimes you have to just fiddle around a bit. Okay, you heard a little bit of a cling there, which is probably good. What's probably meant it's jumped into the tailpiece here. into the groove of the string saddle at the tailpiece on the bridge. That looks okay. Okay. Once again, I can. No. I just saw now it's actually jumped out of the string clamp there. See, I've got to push it back down again. Make sure it's underneath, and now I can start tuning it up. I'm looking forward to new strings on this bass. It'll sound just like new. Looks okay, all good there, all good there. It's already dropped a little bit. Let's do this pulling, snapping thing. You don't need to do it too often. You just do it pretty much in the center of the string. You know, don't go where it's really taut or tight here or there. Do it pretty much in the center of the string length. A couple of tugs, let it snap back and tune it back up. A couple of ups and down tunes, a couple of up and down tunes is okay too. Back to the G. Close enough for now. Now I'm going to go onto the E string. One more to go. Tune it down. That's pretty loose now. I should be able to release it. I'm just keeping the bass here right now. I don't even have to put it on my lap necessarily. There you go. That's released. Now I'll put it on my lap to get it out of the hole in the tailpiece bridge. Once again, just you know, straighten out the wiggly bit at the end here, the curly bit, pull it through, easily done. And where is it? There's the E string. Beautiful. Okay, into the hot hole here at the end. That was quick. Bass down. Once again, you can see the same length as the other strings, so here I'm going to have to cut off. I think I'll cut off, oh, you can see now every time I cut it's probably an inch more, roughly, very roughly, so I might be going this much now. Again, I don't want to make it too much, so maybe I'll go this a little bit less than what I pointed out first. Pliers, just check again. There's probably some guide, which I've never looked at, how much to actually cut off. Maybe you can sort of, you know, maybe there's some measurement, I don't know. I've never really done that. Yeah, okay. As I said before, just don't cut too much off, otherwise you're in trouble. I hope this is not too much, otherwise I'm in trouble. Okay, here we go, into the hole, into the slot, inwards. Can I wind it around once? Yes, I can do that. That's good. It looks okay down there. I think the length should be fine. Just winding, pushing the top down a bit so it doesn't jump out. See if I can show you that. So it did jump out. Got to make sure I push it down enough. That's better. Keep it under tension. Do the another hand wind. Screwdriver might help again. Just that little bit to make sure. The great thing about the Music Man tuners is that they're actually, I can't show you right now with one hand, is that they're slightly conical so that the string will automatically sort of go downwards. It won't jump up. Some are completely cylindrical, then you're in, you know, it's a bit more difficult. But with these, you know, the string is less likely to sort of slip up to the top and jump out. Okay. Try that again, turn it. while holding it under tension, this is really important. You've got to hold enough tension so the string doesn't jump all over the place. Now I can already see with this one, I need to push the string windings up so that the last winding always is the lowest winding. This little screwdriver is a very handy tool indeed. Okay, that's looking better. Again, this will only work if you hold the tension. So you see, if I swap hands, I just got to make sure I hold the tension of that string. Looks like I might have cut just the right amount off. Now it's already under enough tension to check it at the bridge end here. So you can see that's in the slot. It's through the hole there. So it's very loose still, but the other thing is now I've got to just make sure I get this right, which is not quite right yet. So I'll do what I did before, release it a little bit and see if I can get it to go under. Yeah, that's the ticket. Under and retighten it. Again, just thinking out loud, but this is what we do. So I can hear already going up to, you know, gradually increasing tension now. And all good there. Looks good. Again, just tuning in fourths, you know, by ear, so to speak, roughly. Now the E string was actually a bit sharp compared to the A, but the A string had dropped again. So I said at the beginning I'm not going to talk about tuning, but I'm doing a bit of it anyway. Whoops, that was too much. That's about a semitone flat now, so I can go a bit further. Okay, that's it. Set of strings on. As I said, intonation adjustments is the material for another video. Have a look at those windings again. See there, the string windings are all, you know, 2.5 to 3 windings around the pegs. Okay, it looks pretty tidy. I'm looking forward to tuning it properly, getting it plugged in and playing this baby again. Okay, I hope you learned something from this video. All the best with your string changes. Bye for now.